Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ALLATRA TV. And today it is my privilege and honor to welcome Sir Professor Dr. Gabriele Pao-Pei Andreoli, a humanitarian leader, a distinguished academic whose efforts are dedicated to bringing global collaboration, global communication. As president of the Institute for Advanced Studies and Cooperation, he drives international efforts in regenerative medicine, sustainable development, ethical innovation, and global security. He also serves as president of Ethical AI within the Italian League for Human Rights and as liaison representative to the Vatican's Pontifical Academy of Theology. Dr. Andreoli is also the founder and director of the World Changers Summit, a global network of world leaders and thinkers who are committed to shaping the future, more peaceful, more flourishing, bright future for all of us, for all of the humanity. In 2025, the World Changers Summit took place at the Pontifical Academy of Sciences in Vatican. The ALLATRA TV team was also present there. To be honest, they noted that it was a remarkable event, and we are really grateful for the fact that you are the one who creates events like that, who gives that platform for people to actually brainstorm, share the ideas, connect, and, step by step, build a better future for all of us. So thank you so much, Professor Andreoli.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really humbled and we are of service. So whatever I do, it's really to be of service and trying to make the world a better place. So thank you for having me. It's a great honor to be here. And it was fantastic to have Pastor Burns at the event and the ALLATRA team. And I look forward to do more things together. So being here in Washington today for me is a great step forward, collaboration and fruitful work together.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. And to be honest, whatever I just mentioned, this is just a small portion of what you do, your initiatives, your projects, and, taking into account a wide range of your work, how would you describe yourself today? What are your aspirations? And at this point in life, at this stage in life, who is Professor Andreoli?
That's a great question. Just my book that was released, Transcendence, just the day before the event in the Vatican at the Casina Pio Quarto, which is also the place where the Pontifical Academy of Science is in the heart of the Vatican. And the title of the book is Transcendence. And I believe we're here to transcend, to move forward, to embrace our present and move into new dimension and space. We're doing a lot of work with artificial intelligence and especially lately with quantum. So we're organizing, we just signed an agreement. We're part of the Quantum League, and we're trying to direct and share our knowledge into technology to make sure that it's taken with the right foot and working in the right direction. There is a lot of stakes, so we need to be very, very careful. Time has changed completely the way we're proceeding. It's very fast. It's amazing what we are achieving in such a short amount of time. But in the same time, it's like a racing car. When you go too fast, you have to have good brakes. So we need to build those brakes. We're building a lot of speed. Now we need to learn also how to build good brakes and a good framework. So we make sure we all arrive together at the finish point in the best possible way.
Wow, this is amazing. And you just mentioned how fast the technology is developing and growing. I feel like it's accelerating not twofold or threefold, much, much more. So taking into account the fact that every AI product brings new possibilities, but on the other hand, new things to worry about too, depending on in which hands it is and what kind of approach is taken to that product, how important is the ethical aspect, and how important is, the ethical development of current scientific landscape? How important is it to approach that knowledge that we are currently, getting and developing with that level of responsibility?
Very interesting question. It is. I think it's fundamental. And what we're seeing now is that as we progress more and faster, there is a higher demand for spiritual values. And this is kind of amazing because we expected, people to get into the development and into this new virtual reality and into this reality, which virtual reality is becoming our reality, um, and kind of lose traction with their spiritual side. What we're seeing is actually the opposite, is that with all this at our disposal, we need more and more a guidance, a spiritual guidance, and we need more and more to feel we're part of a community. So I believe ethic is something that is emerging as a strong value into the community because it's something that it's needed. Without this a feeling of community, we cannot move forward. And this is why, one of our next initiative is the multiverse of trust. And the title was chosen because it is so important. It's as the core of everything we do is there is trust. If we feel you're in a trustworthy place with trustworthy people, and then, things can move forward. Otherwise, we start, giving in to our fears and to our insecurity, and that's where everything gets kind of of difficult, where we need to to evaluate every step we take. And as a human being, we are, strange to say, but we are very trustworthy. This is our default mode. Our default mode is to trust. And then we become very skeptical because our experience teaches us that not always, everything goes smooth and we can get hurt. But it's out of that, out of the problem, out of the mistake we make, that we learn. So I always say we're not resilient. We're anti-fragile. We are made of the spiritual side, and we're made of molecular side, and it's energy floating. So it's harmonizing the disbalance that is in ourself. And to have growth, you have to have disbalance. You have to move forward, and moving forward sometimes it also means making mistakes, but we shouldn't be afraid. We should march forward. And in this mission, my next, the book that just came out, which is called Transcendence: Quantum Technology, i.e., and the Future of Humanity, and it was inspired by the words of His Eminency Cardinal Parolin, the Secretary of State of the Vatican City, which he said, only through transcendence can humanity find a better future for itself. And I think that's so deep and so profound and really inspiring. And so I feel blessed. I feel blessed to be here with you. I feel blessed to do everything I do. And every time there is a challenge in our path, it's a way of demonstrating how we are addressing and how we're growing and how we are able to make it better, and also to share our experience. As a professor, I always say I'm not here to profess anything. I'm here to share. And I'm here also to learn. Many times when you're with students, it's the beautiful exchange of information. And so it's I've been blessed by many experience. many experience. Cancer was one of those experience. I've always said that I came out of it with a better idea of how lucky we are and how beautiful all it is. And every time is a new challenge. I had a lot of challenges and lost a lot of dear ones, but every time is how do you um, confront with whatever happens in your life? How do you make, take out of it a lesson that you can share with others? And that's what makes it beautiful. No matter how hard it is always how can I keep on the good side? How can I make this a positive experience? And of course, when I was younger, many times I got angry. I got angry at life. My father was taken from me in a car accident when I was 12, and and the night I remember he called me, and I answered him. He said, "Well, go and eat. I'll come later, and and don't wait for me." And of course, I was stubborn little boy. I was 12, and I said, "Oh, I'll wait for you." And then when he didn't show up, and I was waiting, and I'm still waiting. But then you learn so much. Life is just a zip, is a moment. And from that moment, I realized you got to do things when you feel things are right to be done. And everything comes together and everything happens at the right moment. And so there is, I was angry at life for many years. But when I let it go and I start using that as a lesson for myself and from others, then it's where the beauty comes out of such a terrible experience. And I believe it gives you so much energy and power. And the same thing happened with my brother. And he was younger than me. I took care of him like like a brother does. But then again, what happens is he got sick and he wasted away very fast in his life. And then you asking yourself why, why. But you can not answer all the questions. But what you can do is take that experience, take that sorrow if you want, but that also opened my eyes to how many young kids are in hospitals, how many, children are suffering, and how much we can do for them.
Yes.
So that again was very tough, was very hard to go through all these hospitals to see your brother wasting away, becoming tetraplegic, not being able to recognize you anymore. But it was a great chance for me to really appreciate what is life and how much suffering there is in this world. And to be here and to be able to be in this beautiful town with you and be welcomed. And it's so humbling. It's so I always say, I'm here to serve. I'm here, and this is also a great lesson that taught me Cardinal Parolin, that we're here for service. And sometimes you look up to them and then you go like, wow, how can you be so strong? How can you be so inspiring for so many people? It's really a guiding light. And I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful to him, and I'm really grateful to all the people that lead, to Pastor Burns, and all the people who have the courage to stand for a better world.
Yeah. Thank you so much for such a sincere answer. You shared an intimate part of your life, of your personal life experience. And I'm 100% sure that there are people here listening to us right now who maybe are going through the hardships at the moment. And this will be like a little spark, a little guiding light for them not to give up, keep pushing, keep working on yourself, and just given the opportunity of that little spark inside to grow and become an inspiration for someone else. Thank you so much. And you you mentioned that you're working on the multiverse project, right? um, I'm wondering, in your opinion, would interdisciplinary and international collaboration benefit to the growth and development of the technologies for the good? What do you think about that?
Well, we're working with many institutions. We're working with many people, trying also to understand where we're standing as far as developing technology in a way that can help everyone. And it's a social work that we're doing. I remember we were among the very first to help the kids of Ukraine. And for me, it was not about Ukraine, or it was about the kids. And then later on, we were involved in presenting a beautiful documentary that it's, on the kids of Ukraine. But for me, it's about the kids. It's not about, I always say, I don't want to take a political stand. What I want to do is help the people on the ground. And I don't care if you're white, yellow, red. I don't care about your color, your nationality. I'm not asking you documents when we are, helping people. And so, again, with technology, today technology has become something that is also strategic. It's also a way of reaching out and manipulating information, manipulating knowledge, and of course, as a great um, positive side, we're building also with one of our partners. We're building the metaverse, so anyone can come to the metaverse and understand about technology, understand about regenerative medicine, learn, directly from avatars about, maybe photosynthesis, or anything else. You can speak with Einstein. So it's really a lot of fun. We started with a great project of Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta, where we did an event in her hometown. And because we developed this project that was about building a 3D holographic responsive avatar, and when we started building the avatar, we said, well, who should we, what personality should we build first? And then we said, oh, we should be Pope John II, or maybe it should be Leonardo da Vinci, or maybe it should be, some other great Indira Gandhi, some great leader that was, ready to share with the public. And then I said, no, I think we should do Saint Mother Teresa. And the reason why was because she's a female, but she's also, a Catholic, which went to, a foreign country, and she really helped the people on the ground, helped the kids, helped, the needy. And she started a great movement, but she was coming from a very little place in the middle of the mountains, and she had such a great impact in the world. And I thought, well, that's where I want to go. So we went back to Skopje, which is her hometown in what is today called North Macedonia. And I say, I want to bring her back here. And so we did this event about technology. But the most technological thing we had was this 3D holographic avatar appearing and telling the people, I'm back in my hometown. I'm so happy to be with you. Religion should be something that brings people together and doesn't divide people. And the reason also why is because many times we see what we call wars of religion. But I tell you, when I was on the ground in Albania, in North Macedonia, you see there is a lot of unity between faith. And when it's real faith and it's not being used and manipulated, it's so beautiful to watch, people with good faith coming together and praying and loving each other and sharing. And I believe it's so important to cultivate that kind of spirit.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And thank you for your big heart. Thank you for helping people, helping children, because children It's our future.
But do we have a choice? I mean,
We have to. Yes, it should be our responsibility, right?
exactly. So really, I think I'm just, again, I'm just doing what I can. Um, Leading a fairly big organization now, which started really as I said, how can we bring people together? How can we um, start and initiate something around the Vatican and in regenerative science and bringing people from all over the world and just sharing knowledge, sharing the spirit and this unity and this willingness to help each other. So I think it's important. I think it's a great opportunity. That's why I believe in making the world changers and the events and coming together and sharing. And the next event, we have spiritual leaders coming. I will ask Pastor Burns, Sri Gurudev, which is a good friend. I was this place Art of Living in India. He's a great guru and brings together millions of people. And we help so many kids through him. His organization is all over the world. And I will ask also, His Excellency, the President of the Pontifical Academy of Theology, Monsignor Staliano, and so many others that I wanted to bring together, because I want to make a bridge, between faith and technology, and they're really part of the same thing, because we need to believe, and sometimes we believe in things that people say, "Oh, you're crazy." And I remember when we first start talking about quantum biology, and the very first guys that working on quantum biology, and there is uh, a little particle in the eye of this bird, which migrates from Europe to Africa. And there was a theory that this little particle guided the bird thanks to the curvature of the earth, but the forces are so little that nobody believed it could be possible. But the fact is, it was proven that thanks to quantum, the bird was able to sense and to move around, and you're talking about a little bird being able to move from Poland, from even from Ukraine, I don't know, but to all the way, across the Mediterranean and reaching Africa, just thanks to this sensation. So many times what we call sensations and what we call it's part of a bigger field of energy moving and guiding us. So as we said before, nothing happens by chance. There is energy. And it's our responsibility to channel this energy and to make it a positive energy. And it's our responsibility really to work with kids and to show them, that they, like me, when I was young, as I said before, you don't have to be angry for things that don't go right. You can change perspective and make it a lesson. And I know sometimes it's very hard. And I've been in on the ground. I've been in terrible places, and but we still hold the responsibility not to get angry, but to become better and to make the difference.
Yes.
And it's only, through forgiveness and through sharing things that we can make a difference. Sometimes it has to be disruptive. Sometimes it's very hard. I understand. It's hard for everyone, but we got to make this place a more peaceful place for everyone.
Definitely. Peace is something that we all should strive for and we all should work on to achieve it, hopefully as fast as possible. Because I feel like this world needs love, needs peace, needs kindness, and needs active leaders, active people who are not indifferent to our fate, who are not indifferent to our future, and who are ready to take the responsibility for their lives, lives of their children. And we know that you're currently planning another major event in the United Arab Emirates. So could you please share a little bit more information about that? What actually was the
Well,
inspiration for?
yeah, it was exactly, what we talked about was about guiding the youth, guiding the youth through esports, through their passions, and make them understand the real meaning and how they can move through the digital space. That's why it's called the multiverse of trust. It's multiverse of trust, DeFi, so decentralized finance, which is something very new into our world, and also, the use also of social media. How you use social media, how you use them instead of being used. How can you control yourself, and because the brain, which is a neuroplastic matter, it changes form, and when you start using the digital device, it really mutates. So our brain adapts to whatever is our task and whatever we want to do. And we've seen, also with the use of artificial intelligence, yes, of course, if it's guided in the right way, it's a great instrument, but it can also lead to less use of neurons. So you stop building synapses because you already have the answers right there. It's a beautiful story. There is a great book that is regarding one of the old codes of Archimedes, uh, and and you can trace down, because before, I mean, in 1,000 years ago, it was very hard to have books. So you would visit the monasteries and learn everything by heart. So your brain, was prepared for silence, for concentration, hours of learning, because you could not take the book with you. Then the printing press came, and it was, mainly was handwritten. So also to transcribe one book to the to make a copy was a long process. But you can trace down who transcribed the book and where it was transcribed, because we usually make the same mistake. So maybe when it comes down to certain words or certain, grammar, you always, have the same mistake. And it was very interesting to be able to understand the path. So where the book was translated, in what era, who did translate it. So again, I think, we have a great opportunity not only to understand technology, but to understand how we use technology and how to implement, thanks to technology, our way of living. So the main theme of this multiverse of trust is to focus on the spiritual side, on the cellular side, and on the technological side. How these three go together to build a better future for humanity again. So this is, the next event we're going to do in Dubai. And then, of course, we're teaming up to celebrate Quantum Day. And so that is going to be the Planck equation is 14 4. So it's always around the 14th of April that you do the Quantum Day. So around that date, we will do something, I believe, in Saudi. We already plan, as every year, to do another event in the Pontifical Academy at the Casino Pio Quarto, Pio the Fourth, which is the Pope who built the place and restored the place. And so that is going to be on the 22nd of October, 2026. And the aim is to look into space technology and space. Wow. Yeah. And so we want to prepare and to see how humanity is preparing to move forward and towards the space. We have a project also with Rob Pryor, the artist Rob Pryor, about space. We'll see how that will proceed in the next few months. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to achieve. We're launching the longevity and regenerative project, which is also a part of our effort to cure people. I was just in Cyprus a few days ago, meeting with great scientists and researcher um, to see how we can integrate the use of ultrasounds into regenerative. And also we have a project that is for PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorders, that we want to deploy on the ground and helping people that have gone through difficult time and terrible experience to get over. We know there is a metabolic change in the person after they go through stress and 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 panic and pain. So we want to relieve that situation. So we launched the research on that field with the Red Cross. So we're trying to do a lot of things. Some go well, some others take more time, but they all have an impact. And in the process also, it's very interesting. I always say, not all the weddings end up well, but the process many times is enriching. So
Oh, this is incredible. A lot to look for, a lot of exciting news. Wow. And where do you get the energy for all of these different spheres, all of these different, um, you know, types of activity to combine them together to make sure that, there is a room for like collaborative platform for all of that?
it's interesting, but you have to surround yourself with good people. So part of the process is to be here. Part of the process is to keep on working with great guys and have inspiration and I think we're blessed, as I said in the very beginning. When energy moves around, when people have good faith and we come together, we join hands, we pray together, we eat together, and things are happening. And it's a great, I think it's also, the process is already a great message. It gives you a lot of energy to fly around. I take about 130 flights a year. So every 3 days, I'm in a different country, in a different continent. And it is tough, but it is also such a great opportunity to be all over the world, to be able to join forces with leaders, with policymakers, with great scientists, with you see the things that will be in the future, and you get to share and to learn all the time. And sometimes you give some advice, you share some knowledge, and I think is a great opportunity. So that's where I get my energy from. I get my energy from sharing and being able to have moments like this where.
Thank you so much. It's very enriching. I'm sure, like whenever you are in a different country, you get to meet so many new people, and each person is like another book, not just like a chapter or a page, but like another book that you get the opportunity to.
Yeah, totally. And that also forces you out of your comfort zone. And this is something that to me has an enormous value. Every time we abused comfort, every time we don't take the opportunity to really try out of our comfort zone. And for me, it's also very important as a human to try to look, from to wear other people's shoes, and really understand. Yeah, I have this vision, but how difficult is for this person? How hard may be for this other person? Why do they see things the way they see it? Um, Sometimes they're clearer than you are, and you go like, wow, that's interesting. Someone comes up to you and says and pinpoints, without knowing too much, pinpoints what the problem is and what the solution may be, and then you go like, wow, why didn't I think of it? So lateral thinking also, it's a big part of the game, I believe. Um, and you learn that by adapting. You learn that by moving around, by being with people, all kind of people, all different, walk of life and sharing, and there is always something to learn.
We see right now that young people and people in general spend a lot of time online on their smartphones, on computers, tablets, and browsing through various digital platforms. So, in your opinion, what responsibility do digital platforms have when it comes down to mental health, when it comes down to um, psychological resilience of the kids and of the people who are using those platforms?
It is a very good question. Thank you for asking. Well, you have to think that the platform is there to monetize. So dopamine is a big game, and you want to keep people, uh, hooked to the system as long as you can. It is very interesting. I remember many years ago we didn't have cellular phones, so when the cellular phone came out, everyone was trying to move around with this phone, and sometimes was linking to the network, sometimes it wasn't. But it's not like today that we can walk almost everywhere, and we have the line. It's connected, and I started realizing that people were getting nervous when they were not online. And now, almost, I believe, 30 years down the road, God, time flies too fast when you're having fun, especially. And 30 years down the road, now you see all those kids and also their parents, because this is where it starts. The kids, mimic the parents. And then the parents get angry because the kid stays all the time on the phone, but they do the same. They just don't realize it. And the thing is, how many likes do I have? How many, and it goes back to security, to wanting to be part of something, to be accepted. But also has a negative side, because now it's becoming, they can shame you online, for things that they don't even know, and you take it personally. And me, part of my life was very funny. I always make a joke out of it. I became famous in Italy as an actor by mistake, because I was trying to make a living. I was trying to be independent from my parents, and I started acting, and then I became, well known. And then everywhere I went, people recognized me. And then at one point was too much. Was not my call. Was not my way of doing things. Being always at the center of attention. So I moved out. I went back to study. I went back. I kind of dropped it. Uh, so many times, we do things out of insecurity, and once you feel in that kind of line, you always want more. You always want to show more. You always, oh, I need the new bag. Oh, I need the new watch. I need a car. And then you need two cars. And then it's never enough, because it's the game. The game is your insecurity. If they can play with your insecurity, if they can play with with what you think is reassurance, then the tricks works. And then you always want a new pair of shoes. You always want something new, because you're not building your character. You're just going with the flow, and you're very weak spiritually. And it's interesting to see that. And once you detach from that kind of reality, of that kind of world, then you judge people for what they share with you, and not for what they represent. So it's a totally different way of dealing with people. It's a totally different way, where you don't need to have the coolest shoes anymore, but what you need is to have the higher spiritual level. What you need is to be able to transmit that kind of security, and to share the kind of of love, really. And it's a different story. It's a game changer. When you transcend, and you start, not working just, to monetize, but working for, for a meaning, for a purpose. And that the game is a game changer. So Again, yeah, it's very dangerous. Platforms and the digital world is a great instrument. We use it a lot, but again, it's how you understand yourself in the digital world, how you understand yourself in the real world, what you're able to do as a human. And there's also another factor that wherever you move, the societies you go to have have an influence on you. So it is hard sometimes. You have to resist to be influenced. But as a kid is harder and it's difficult. So that's why we work with legislator, trying to have guidelines, trying to say, okay, what is, not to impose, but really to make people understand. It's like when you're trying to impose something, somehow you always fell short because you cannot force, coerce people. If you don't give them really a meaning, if you don't make them understand, what is better for them and what is good, and you make them feel what is good. And then once they do feel it, once they do, feel the love, the power, the energy, once they're proud of what, of their difference without being arrogant. So it's always a thin red line that unites everything. And it's a complex adaptive system where you always have to be on the edge, but never fell over the edge. And I have this when you read about the devil, when you read about Luciferus, and you understand that Luciferus means, the angel of light. He was the most powerful one, but then he became, so pleased with himself and so reassured that he was the best that somehow it crystallized the old world. So it became the worst, example of going from good to completely fall out of it and becoming the devil. And so again, it's a thin line where you have to be proud of what you do. You have to serve with humility because it's so. We also seen it, with the Lord of the Rings. My precious one. He gets so crazy about the ring because the ring gives power, but in the meantime, it always loses, you into this need for more. And so you have to keep very, very. I don't like the word balance. I don't like the word sustainability. Sustainability again is a misconception. Is like resilience. Is we are not resilient. We are anti-fragile. We learn from our from our experience, and we have two choices at one point. We can collapse. We can die out from stress, from whatever happens to us, or we can flourish. And to be resilient, it means to resist stress. We do not resist stress. We become better, or we die out. And it's the same thing with sustainability. Sustainability comes from the word to sustain, to oppose an equal force. I believe we should flourish. We should become better. I don't want to sustain. I want to flourish. And I wish for the world to flourish. This is one of the other projects we have in building a center for flourishing and for regeneration. So by regenerative science as a whole, regenerative economy, regenerative science, biocellular science. So we want to regenerate. We want to become better, and we're trying. This is. I think life is it's a journey, and the journey is, try what can you do better. At the end of the day, you want to go to bed being a better person that you woke up. So this is what we're trying to achieve. Not always easy, not always, but we got to try.
Definitely. So interesting. I'm sure our audience is listening and will be Googling all of the terms that you use, all of the new technologies that you mentioned, because it is really, really inspiring, looking at what kind of amazing future is ahead of us. If only we stay active, if only we try, and not only try, but do our best, right? It's just incredible. Professor Andreoli, you are well acquainted with the global initiative of spiritual diplomacy and the mission of Pastor Mark Burns, which is gaining increasing attention and significance worldwide. And you will soon take part in a conference organized by Pastor Mark Burns together with ALLATRA movement, which is dedicated to the topic of spiritual diplomacy. How do you see spiritual diplomacy contributing to international dialogue in the context of the challenges that we're facing in the modern world? And what topics do you plan to tackle on?
Well, it's very interesting. When Pastor Burns came into the World Changers at the Pontifical Academy of Science, which was called Transcend, unveiling the future of humanity. And he gave me the idea really of coming there and inviting me to this event that is, that with ALLATRA that you're planning. He gave me the idea of putting together the multiverse of trust. Because I think diplomacy, which I teach, by the way, is I teach soft power, and I believe diplomacy is especially scientific and spiritual diplomacy is a way of connecting people all over the globe, and it's fundamental. It's really a key element to unite people. And once you bring people together, and once people start having a human relationship, and it's not just a video conference call, but is getting together, feeling each other, talking to each other, spending time together, experiencing, everything changes. There's a great story. I'll make it very short. But during World War I, there were enemies were facing each other, and they were a few meters away from each other. So by, after, few months, you were in the trenches, just opposite of your enemy, but you could really feel them, you can hear them talk, and they have the same problems you had home. So you start feeling, empathic to each other. And there was a beautiful event that changed also the course of history and the way the battles are fought. And is that during the Christmas, they start coming out from the trenches, the Germans and the Italians, and they start joining and celebrating together, and although they were enemies, they knew they were going back to the trenches and shoot at each other, but for that moment they brought presents to each other, and they're so sharing the family stories and everything. And that was a scene from the commanding chain as a great dangers, that because they were not fighting each other in with animosity anymore. They were becoming friends. So from then on, they start moving the troops, from one place to the other and rotating, so that people could not become, acquaintance with their enemy.
Could not see a human.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there is a great power in coming together and sharing. And even if you're enemies, when you start understanding that your enemy has the same needs you have for love, for security, for peace, for food and everything else, then you start realizing that maybe they're not so different from you.
And Professor Andreoli, you often talk about science with conscience, right? So how do you personally maintain faith in the fact that humanity can stay wise and can become wiser than our own inventions? Because as we talked already about the development of technologies, we see that there are both good and bad sides of it. So what gives you faith in the fact that we can stay strong, we can stay wise.
I was in Riyadh not too long ago, and I was talking about artificial intelligence and ethics. And somebody was, made asked me a question, and I said, "How do you know that technology will not prevail over humans?" I said, "Well, just I asked the audience to close their eyes for one moment, and I said, just please close your eyes and think what one single moment that is worth for you to live. One single person that you love, alive, dead, or whatever. So it is emotions. And as long as we keep having emotions, we are so much more connected and so much more powerful than any machine. There is no machine, Our life is not how long we live. So we're moving from calling it longevity to regenerative, because it doesn't matter. You live 1 second, but that single one tiny second, it's worth your entire life. And if you think of that moment, a particular moment, I have one precise, very beautiful moment, but there are many, that I recall when I have a difficult time. And at that single moment, it's long lasting. It was worth it. Was worth living. Was worth going through all the pain and all the trauma and all the suffering, and that's the smile when you see a kid smiling, and then all goes away. So I believe we have a great chance as long as we keep our heart pure. It's not always easy. But I always say we shouldn't feel guilty, for the mistakes we make. We should make it up. We should, do something, worth living. It's a great opportunity. And after you go through so much, you understand that it's such a shame that so many kids take their life, and there is so much pain in the world, and there's so much violence. But always violence comes out of fear. And we need to cure that fear. We need to cure, and the only way to cure that is with love, and not indulgence, but love. I'm not, I'm always trying to tell people, don't just, forgive, but make it a difference. It's like, you make a mistake and you say, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're sorry, but then what you gonna do to make it better? To be sorry is not enough. To be sorry is just part of the process. Now you have to do something to make it up, to really, make the difference. So let's try, day by day to make that difference.
And there are so many people right now, young leaders, the newer generation, who are full of new ideas, who do want to make that change in the world. How do you envision the leader of the 21st century?
A lot of responsibility. I see some very bright kids. I see some wonderful young leaders. But we also have to remember, personally, I'm not taking a stand, but personally, I think when we fail as adults to do something, and then we have somebody that's very young, and allowing them to take the lead, is because we're somehow failing in our role. And we have to be honest, we have to be able to be respected. And in order to be respected, we have to take the responsibility of leading with conscience and vision and strength. And so the young leaders can come when they're ready. And if our society allows kids to use technology in the wrong way, I don't think it's so much their fault. It's our fault that we're not able to guide them in a better way. So I always say, we need to do better. We need to do more. We need to give the right path. And so great to have young leaders, great to have, to help them become the better version of us. So let's help them. Let's work together, but let's not take off the responsibility from our shoulders. Transcend is not to escape; it's to move forward, which is a very different, very different approach to. Young leaders should be helped, but we should not give them responsibility because we're not able to take the responsibility.
If you could offer one sentence to humanity, to our audience, to make it a guiding motto for the better future, what would it be?
Wow, that's a tough one. There are so many things that I believe have been said about mottos, but I, out of my heart, I say learn to be in the moment, learn to be present to yourself, and 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 do your best. And be truthful to yourself. When you're really trying, when you're really doing something, where you're not just showing off, where you're not just pretending. And I'm so, sometimes I get so frustrated with organizations that pretend to do something big. One of the things now I got to start all over again. One of the things, now, you have to cope with me for one moment, that we started, the cure of malaria with electromagnetic fields. It's called holographic information transfer technology. We presented a few years ago, and it targets plasmodium, oxidizing plasmodium selectively, so it doesn't have any side effects. And it's just a little patch, a little bracelet you put on. And then we had, like 98% results, positive results. So
Wow.
plasmodium in 4 days, it's completely gone. And the research didn't cost millions of dollars, and didn't, promote the use of vaccines or anything. It was very, very inexpensive, very direct, very effective technology. And when I see organizations spending billions of dollars on things and not coming up with a solution, I'm wondering, what are they doing? What are they thinking? And I'm sorry to say, but many times, many people become what they wish to be and not what they should be. And this is a big difference. You're not your dream. You are what you are doing. You have to be, let me rephrase that. You have to have vision, but you also have to be realistic. You also have to be in the moment. You also have to be connected with what you're really doing, and not delusional about, pretending and manipulating your image. But it all goes back to what is making you secure, what makes what you're looking for. Many people, when I go around saying, okay, what are you looking for? And they want, oh, I want to be successful. I want to make money. And what is success? When it comes down to success, what is success in your mind, and what gives you? Why do you want success? What is giving you? And what is money giving you? And they both go to the same direction. In the very end, if you ask, so what? And so what? It all comes down to love and feeling that you are, in a safe place. So what all this is bringing you, money and success, it comes down, it's the same thing, is, peace of mind.
Yes.
So I believe, let's try to be coherent with what we really need. And then this is the message. Let's be coherent.
Thank you so much, Professor Andreoli.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for such an incredible conversation. Very enriching, very interesting, because you were involved in so many projects, initiatives. It's just amazing how one person can do so much, and how many people like you there are in the world too, who are striving, and you are giving them the opportunity to connect, to work together. And I'm just really grateful for you and our audience. And we are really blessed, just like I said when we started the conversation, we're blessed to have each other. We're blessed to have this opportunity to share the knowledge, to share the wisdom, to share our experience. So thank you so much for sharing it today with us.
Well, thank you. Well, let's make it happen. It's in our hands.